First I'll create a package, first I'll create a project called IO. I'm going to create a new package also here, com.accenture. Okay, now see the API. There's a package called java.io. In that java.io, there is a class called file. See, in your hard drive, there are a lot of files. In C drive, there are a lot of files. There are existing files, physical files on the hard drive. If you want to do any operations on a physical file which is existing on your drive, what you can do is you can create a logical object in your JVM. What all operations you want to do on that physical file which is existing on your hard drive, you can do on this object. JVM will make sure that the same operations are done on the physical object, right? So first point you have to understand when talking about IO is file class. By using file class, we can create a logical object which represents the physical file in the operating system part. Whatever operations you want to do on the physical file, you can do the same operations on this logical object that will get reflected on the physical object. Now see, to construct an object of file, we can use any one of these constructors. The simplest constructor which we can use is a file object which is taking path. Okay? And here, once you create a file object, there are a lot of methods we can use inside it. Okay, first let us start by creating a file class. Now I'll write a new class. Okay, all of you follow it. Create a new class in package com.accenture file demo, and I will take main. Here I am going to create file object, file. See, whenever you are writing, don't write the whole path. Even you are good at typing, don't type it. Always press Ctrl space and select the appropriate file. File from java.io, select it. Automatically if you select, import will be generated. If you type on your own, you have to type the import statement also. So don't type, always use Ctrl space and select. File f is equals to new file, and I will pass some path, f colon abc dot txt. I'm not sure whether on my F drive it is there or not. I'll just see. In my F drive there is nothing called abc.txt. So this is a logical object which represents a physical file on my system. But I gave a path, I hard coded this path. This path may be existing or may not be existing. Right now it is not there, right? So I just wanted to see whether this file is already there or not. So see here, I'll write system.out.println f.exists. There is a method on file class exists. What is the return type of exists? Boolean. It will print true or false accordingly. If this file is existing, it will print true, otherwise it will return true, otherwise false. So this will tell whether the file is existing or not. Okay, now if I run, it should print false. Yes, false, because the file is not existing. Now I want you to see the API and find which method is there. If the file is not existing, I want to create a new file with the same name. Just check in the API whether there is any method to create a new file or not, and then call. So create new file was throwing IO exception, and it will create a new file. Next what I want to do is, see here I am giving you a hint. In file class there is a method called list. What is this list returning? See the documentation. Returns an array of strings naming files and directories in the directory notifiers. So if your file object is, if your path is pointing to a directory, it will list all the files present inside this directory. Now what I want to do is, I want to give new file. I just wanted to point to F drive. F. I want to print all the file names present inside this directory. I am just giving a hint. F.list will return a string array. The string array will contain all the file names. Iterate over that array and print all the file names present inside F directory. I want you to list all the file names. So I told a method called F.list. List is returning a string array of all the file names. I called F.list. It is returning a string array. I will take that object in a reference here. String array file names is equals to F.list is returning an array of all the file names. Okay, I got file name array. Then I will iterate through it for string file name colon file name system.out.println file name. This will print all the files present in that directory. Now I will run it. See, it has printed all the files present in that directory, all the file names. See, the next thing is, there is a method called list files. It is returning a file array. Suppose if your file object is pointing to C drive, and in C drive there are 10 files. For each file present in C drive, it is creating a file object and it is returning a file array. Okay. See here again, I want to tell you, there is a method called isDirectory. There is a method here called isDirectory. If the file is pointing to a directory, it will return true. And there is another thing called isFile. If it is pointing to a file, then this will return true. Okay, three methods I am telling. If you have file object pointing to something, file object can point to a directory or a file. From an operating system point of view, a directory and file both are same. So file object can point to a directory or a file. Now there is a method in file class called isDirectory. This is returning a boolean. A file object can point to a directory. Means here in my earlier program, I was making my file object to point to F drive, right? A directory, or the file object can point to a file also. If you want to know whether it is pointing to a directory or file, you can use the methods. F dot isDirectory will return true if F is pointing to directory. IsFile will return true if it is pointing to a file. This is one point you have to keep in mind. And next thing, there is another method called list files. Previously you used this list method and you got string array of all the files. Now I want you to use this list files method. You will get file array. What does it mean? Suppose if your file object is pointing to C drive. In C drive, let's assume that there are 10 files or directories. Right? Now if you call list files, it will create a file object for each file or directory. It will return a file array. Right? You will be getting, in C drive there are 5 directories and 4 files. Totally how many? 9. So you will get a file array of size 9. Now you can iterate through this file array, right? Whenever you are iterating through this file array, you can check whether it is pointing to a directory or file by calling isDirectory or isFile. right? If it is a directory, I want again to list all the files in the directory. So I want you to print all the files in C drive recursively. I'm using the word also. See, in C drive there is a folder called Accenture WS. Inside there are again lot of directories. Inside it all lot of files and directories. So I want you to recursively go through all the directories in C drive and print all the file names. Okay? Write a program for it. Okay, now I'm just commenting the existing code. See, now I am writing another method, public void print, and I will make this print method to take file object, file f. Now if f dot is directory, if it is a directory, then what I'm going to do is f dot list files. I will be getting a file array. See the approach I'm doing. I'm calling the method first and seeing the return type. The return type of this method is what? File array. So then I'm coming to left side and I'm creating a reference of it. This is the approach. First you call the method is returning file array, then I'll come to left side and create a file array reference. File array files is equals to. Then now I have to iterate over all these files. I'll iterate for file current file colon files. This is a way to iterate files if current file dot is directory, then again I want to call print method and pass the current file. Else it is a file, right? I just wanted to print system.out.println current file dot get absolute path. Absolute path means the whole path. So see the logic. Okay, I'll make this method static, and here I'll call print and pass f. F is pointing to what? My F drive, or let's say it is C drive. So I have created a file object and pass, calling print. Now see, F, is it a directory? Yes, it will go inside. It will get all the file objects for the files present inside the directory. It is iterating through each file. If it is again a directory, I am calling the same method. Else, if it is not a directory, printing it. That's all, right? Now, some directories may not have files also. So if a directory is not having files, the length of this array will be 0. Just I will check if files dot length for array, files dot length is equals to is not equals to 0, then only I have to do this logic. Then only I have to do this logic. Now I will run this program. Let us see whether it will work or not. It's printing null pointer exception somewhere here. If files not equals to null and now I'll write it. Yep, see here it is recursively going through all the files and is printing all the file names. Okay. I'll kill it. See the logic and let me know if you didn't understand something. See the logic. If you feel difficult to write this logic, write it habitually. Don't give up your hands. Slowly you will get to write. Yep. I want to read from a file. A physical file is somewhere existing. This is a physical file which is on my hard drive. It's having some content, and this is my JVM. From the file is having what, bytes, right? Bytes have to flow from file to my JVM. Flow of water is called as water stream. Flow of byte is called as byte stream. So if you want to read or write, you want a byte stream of bytes. So now, if I want to read, I require input stream. If I want to write, I require output stream. So for reading, I want an output stream, and for writing, I want an output stream. So in Java, they have already given us the classes for input stream and output stream. See here, in java.io package, there is a class called input stream. If I am somehow able to create an object of input stream, I will be able to read. How? See here, in input stream class, there is a method called read. What is it saying? Reads the next byte of data from the input stream. Already I have told you an example of CD reader. I have written a similar read method. What this read method will do? It will read 1 byte of data and return as a int. Second time if I call read, second byte. Third byte, third time, third byte. If end of file is reached, it will return -1. So if by seeing the documentation you can understand, click on this read method, you can understand. Returns, what is returning? Next byte of data, or -1 if the end of file is reached. By seeing this read method, you can understand it returns the next byte of data, or -1 if end of stream has been reached, right? So now to read from file, I understood that I should somehow create an object of input stream. But once I see the documentation, I can see that this class is abstract. We cannot create an object of input stream. So can we use some subclass? An abstract class. What is the purpose of an abstract class? Only for inheritance, right? And see, there is subclass. There are a lot of directly known subclasses. And if I see, this seems to be appropriate for me. File input stream. I want to read from a file. File input stream read seems to be appropriate for me. So let us see if I can create an object of file input stream. File input stream, is it abstract? No. Okay, I will be able to create an object of file input stream. And as it is extending input stream, do you think that there is a read method here? Yes, there is a read method which is same, reads next byte of data, or -1 if end of the file is reached. So now I want to read from a file which is present in suppose in F drive. I have a file abc.txt. I'll type something. I want to read from this file and print it. So in my F drive I have a file. So what you can do is in your C drive you can create only your one file and we'll try to read it. Okay, now I'm writing a new class. Right now what you do is you just see what I'm reading. Writing, the approach also is very important. Writing a program, how to approach is very important. First you observe how I am doing, then afterwards I will give you time to type everything and do it on your own. And one suggestion is, don't try to copy line by line from here. Just see the logic once and try to type it on your own. Then only you will improve. Okay, now I am creating a new class, input stream demo. Take main method. Okay, see the approach. I understood that I have to create an object of file input stream, right? See my approach. I'll say new file output stream. See, these are not the constructors for a file output stream. There is a constructor which is taking file objects. Okay. So I need to create a file object pointing to my f:\abc.txt. I want to read from a file called f:\abc.txt. So I have to pass that file object. See how I proceed. New file output stream. Okay. Once I press control space and press enter, import statement is automatically generated. Okay. It requires a file object. I am creating new file. This file object requires what? String, the file path. So I will write f:\abc.txt, which is already present on my machine. So I created output stream object, but why it is giving an error? Whenever you get an error, keep my cursor. It's saying unhandled exception. What is the exception? File not found. If I type spelling mistake, the file may not be there, right? It is just warning me that file not found exception is possible. I can handle it or throw it. But for making my program to look clear, I'll declare main throws. But when you are writing in original code, better to handle the exceptions. Okay, now I'll declare add throws declaration, file not found. Now I'll take it. See the approach. First I created the object, then I'm creating a reference and on the left side. File output stream I created. Okay, file input stream, right? Okay, here also I'll say file input stream. File input stream, not output stream. Okay, now what I'll do is I will read first byte of data, fis dot read. It is returning an int. What is this read method doing? It is reading first byte, but it is converting the byte to int and giving it to us. So I'll take the first byte. Int data is equals to. This read method again is giving an error. See, unhandled exception, IO exception. While reading, the file may not be readable. Every file will have read-write permissions, right? If the file is not readable, it will throw an exception. So I'll just throw it. See here already was what? File not found exception, right? Now observe. Throws IO exception. Why? I need not throw file not found exception now, because IO exception is superclass of file not found. When a method is throwing exception, if it throws super type, it need not explicitly declare that it throws subtypes. IO exception is superclass of file not found exception. That's why I can declare it like this. Okay, I have read first byte of data. Now tell me what this read method will do when end of file is reached. See here, I kept my cursor to show in the documentation. Reads next byte of data or -1 if end of file is reached. So I need to loop while data not equals to -1. System.out.println data, and then I need to read the next byte of data, next byte from the file, right? See what will happen? I am reading first byte, comparing, is it end of file? No, print it. Again read next byte, is it end of file? No, print it. Like that until end of file is reached, it will print. Now I will run this. Let us see whether I will be getting output expected output or not. No, it's giving me numbers. Why? Because my file is having text. abc.txt is having this one. It's giving numbers. Why? Because read method is reading 1 byte and converting it to int and giving us. While printing, what I need to do is I need to convert it to char. I know that I am reading characters, so I need to convert it to char. Now if I run, oh, it's printing everything but in line. Why? Because I am using print ln. Ln will introduce a new line after every character, so I don't want it. If I use print and run it now, it should print whatever was there in the file. This was there in the file. Okay, now you can proceed, and now I want you to modify the same program and write to a different file. Whatever you are reading from f:/abc.txt should be written to f:/def.txt. And I am saying now the hint is for reading which stream used? Input stream. Similarly for writing, tell me. For reading input stream, for writing output stream. Okay, again following the same way, output stream. Output stream is having a method called write, which is taking int. If I call this method, it will write 1 byte to a file. So if I am somehow able to create an object of output stream, I will be able to do. But output stream is abstract. So see, there is something called file output stream. If I am able to create an object of file output stream, and if I am able to call write method, it will write 1 byte, 1 byte, 1 byte. Right? So now the hint is, just like we have written the same program, modify same program, here what am I doing? fis.read will read 1 byte. I am printing it to console. Now print the same thing to a file also by using file output stream. Modify the same program and make this program to write the contents, each byte to a file, another file. Output stream. I asked you to create an object of file output stream. So new file output stream. File output stream requires what? File objects. So new file, it requires a path where you want to write. So I am writing f:/xyz.txt. I will take it in file output stream reference. FOS is equals to, then here I will write FOS.write. There is a write method which is taking int. So write the data. That's all. Over. So now see this program. What it is doing? It is reading 1 byte from file input stream. Is it end of file? No. Print it to console. Write it to file. Read next byte. Print it to console. Write to file. Like that, it will read all the file and write to the next file. Let us see whether it will work or not. I will run it. Yes. Now I will show you in F drive. Is there xyz.txt? Yes, xyz.txt is there, the same content. So that's it. Reading and writing from files involve generating interrupts. So to read 1 byte, operating system will take a lot of CPU time, right? So reading is costly operation, it will take a lot of time. Writing is costly operation, it will take. So reading 1 byte and writing 1 byte, 1 byte, 1 byte, 1 byte will take a lot of time. Okay, of course our CPU is very fast. You are not able to understand the impact of it, right? But still it is not efficient program, right? So now the idea is, whenever I issue a read command, instead of reading only 1 byte, what if it can read some 1 KB of bytes, 1 kilobytes of data, and keep it in memory, right? So one read operation will read 1 KB. So if my total file size is 1 MB, how many reads are required for the file? One read will require one read will read 1 KB. My file size is 1 MB. 1024 reads are required. But if it is same program, how many reads are required? 1024 into 1024 are required. So if one read can read 1 KB of data, then my program efficiency also will increase, right? So for doing that, there is already an existing class called as buffered input stream. There is a class called buffered input stream. I'll explain you the logic of how that buffered input stream works. See here, there is a class called buffered input stream. Okay? Buffered input stream is internally having a byte array, a private variable called byte array is there. Okay? Byte array of size 8 KB is present. Internally inside buffered input stream there is a private variable. What is the private variable type? Byte array. That length of the byte array is 8 KB. Whenever I call read method, here also read method is there inside buffered input stream. Whenever I call read method, what it will do? It will read 8 KB of data. It will try to read 8 KB of data. And then keep it inside, store that 8 KB of data inside that byte array. But this read method, what it is returning is, it is returning the first byte. For the first time I call read method, what it will do? It will read 8 KB. But the read method will not return you everything. It will return you first byte only. Okay? Whenever I call first time I call read method, it is reading 8 KB of data. It is storing all the 8 KB of data inside its private variable. But read method will return first byte for the first time. Second time if I call read, what will happen is, already it has got 8 KB of data. Now it need not go to the file. The next byte, second byte is present inside the memory. It will return you the second byte. Okay? Third time if I call read, again third byte also is there in the memory. It will return the byte from the memory. It will not go to the file until 8 KB is finished. Now let's assume after 8 KB is finished, again if I call read, again it will go to file. It will fetch next 8 KB of data. Like that, the number of reads which are going to file system can be reduced if you are using buffered input stream. Okay? I'll show you the example of how to use this buffered input stream. See, I will modify the same example. See, I am creating new buffered input stream. Buffered input stream constructor requires an input stream object, a superclass of all input streams. Can I pass file input stream here? Yes. So can I pass this FIS here? Yes. Buffered input stream I am passing FIS. So buffered stream object is created. I'll take it in a reference. Buffered input stream BIS is equals to. Okay. Now, instead of reading by using FIS, I will read it by using BIS. Here also I will change it to BIS. Okay. Now, see the program. What is happening? First time when I call BIS.read, it will read 8 KB of data from the file and keep it inside a private variable, but it will return first byte for the first time. I am checking, is the end of file? No. Print it. Then again I am calling BIS.read for second time here. Will it go to the file and read? No, already all the bytes are there in the memory. It will return the second byte from the memory. Right? Like the third time it will return from the file. The output of this program will be same but with increased efficiency. I will try to show you by debugging. Till now I didn't tell you how to debug it, right? See, if you want to debug, on the left side I am creating a breakpoint. Double clicking here, a blue point is created. This is called as a breakpoint in Eclipse. Okay? Wherever you want the program to stop, you create a breakpoint. It will stop here. Now run as. Previously I was using run as Java application. Now debug as Java application. See now what happens. Allow access. It's asking this kind of launch is configured to open with debug perspective. Previously I was in Java perspective. Now it is asking me to switch to debug perspective. I am saying yes. See, this is the debug perspective. In debug perspective, these are the windows open, right? It is showing the stack trace. This is showing the stack trace. Now the program is suspended. The main thread is suspended at this line. Okay, and you are at this point. When you are at this point, here variables, whatever you are seeing here, it is showing the top of the stack. Right? When you are at this point, tell me what is in the top of the stack. See, when you are here, what is on top of stack? Args, local variable, and fi is also created at this point, local variable. Right? Now if I press F6, F6 means the control will go to the next line. When the control went to next line, see the top of stack, FOS is created. Again pressing F6, it will take the cursor to next line, F6. Okay. Now BIS also is created. BIS is an object. If I expand it, it will show all the variables. Right? BIF is having a buff. Buff is nothing but it's a byte array. The size of this byte array, see, I will expand it. Size of this byte array is 8 KB. 8 KB means 8 into 1024. So size of this buffer is, size of internally buffer input stream is having a byte array whose size is 8 KB, 8 into 1024. Initially, see, in the if I keep my cursor here, it is showing the contents. All are zeros, right? Okay. Now the control is here. Is this statement executed? No, it didn't go to the file and read. Now I'll press F6. So it has read from the file. How many bytes? It will try to read 8 KB. But my file size is so small. See here, again I am clicking on this buffer, buff. See, these all are the bytes, the value of bytes for all the characters from the file. Initially it was 0, now these are the things. So it has read, see, until this, these are the files, these are the bytes for my file. My file is so small, the rest all are zeros, right? See now, what is my first byte value? First byte value is 100. What is my BIS.read returning for the first time? What it did? It read all the bytes from the file, but the read method is returning first byte. See the value inside data here. See the value inside data is 100. It has got the first file. Now I am checking, is it end of file? No. F6 again, it will print, it will go to the next line. Printed it. It is D. First byte is printed. And again I am reading the F6. It will read next byte. Okay, it has read next byte. What is the next byte? Data is having now 115. See, I will show you BIS. Inside BIF, buff is having what? Second byte is what? 115. Now data is having 115, right? So like that, it will read 1 byte, 1 byte. Second time it didn't go to the file. It is returning from the memory. Again, if I press F6, see now, it has read third byte data is pointing to 102. Like that, it will. I'll go on in the loop. See now, if I press F8, F8 means my control will go until next breakpoint is there or until the end of the file. I'll press F8. F8, it didn't stop, it went, right? So this is how to debug. Now you understood how performance is increased by using buffered input stream. Any doubts? Can